Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Cup Duet Reviews. My name is Jillian Robinson. I am the Associate Artistic Producer here at Cup of Hemlock Theatre, and today I am joined by a wonderful new guest and friend of the Cup. This is Divine Angubua. Divine is a writer, theater critic, friend of Ryan, one of our artistic producers here at the Cup, and we are so excited to have Divine join us. And prior to this recording, Divine said there is some notes taken on the show we're going to talk about. So excited to dig into the notes. Thanks for being here, Divine. How are you doing?
I'm good, Jillian. Thank you for having me. I'm quite excited to discuss this play.
Of
And
course.
yeah, I took notes because it was that serious, I fear.
Amen. No, totally.
Yeah.
So the play that Divine and I are discussing is Moonlight Schooner. So this is a Necessary Angel Theatre Company production in association with Canadian Stage and Tarragon Theatre. It is a wonderful new work written by the phenomenal Kanika Ambrose, who's done so many works across their stages. Director is Sabryn Rock, and definitely a star-studded cast with many folks we see on our boards as well. So we will get into all of that as we dive into Moonlight Schooner. Prior to us diving in, though, Divine, welcome to our The Cup Icebreaker. We do ask, what are you sipping on today? What is in your cup? What is your cup?
Well, as far as sipping, I am not sipping anything at the moment. I just had my lemon black tea,
Amazing.
but I have a cup on my stool. I think it's a cup. It's like a little dog.
Cute.
It's like 4 legs. Is this a cup? And I keep
Yeah.
my rings in here.
Nice.
Yeah.
Amazing. Oh, I love that. Creative cup.
Yeah.
I have just the cup, our standard cup, just with some water in it. And I have my little water mason jar to replenish because, as I say always on these episodes, hydration station is key
Yeah.
to get us through these wintry months.
Very much so.
Amazing. Okay, so let's dive in. So as we mentioned, we're going to be talking all about Moonlight Schooner. So I'll give us a little bit of a synopsis and then we can talk about it, share our thoughts. So this piece is, first of all, it is playing at the Berkeley Street Theatre. And it's happening now until December 14th. And as I mentioned, it is a world premiere by Kanika Ambrose, who is an amazing Canadian playwright, young woman who has put phenomenal pieces on our stages. And this one absolutely goes there and hits the mark as well. So the cast is comprised of, basically the story is a small group of Black sailors that are stranded on the island of St. Kitts. It's the year 1958. And a terrible storm has sort of like placed them at this location. One of the sailors resides there, or they meet up with someone who resides there, and they sort of indulge in a night on the town while they're there. But that just scratches the surface of what we're seeing. We sort of divulge into each of these men's identity and their relationship with self, their relationship with women, their relationship with parenthood, their relationship with each other. And I think the description, yes, does literally give us the evocative tale about systemic and deliberate breaking of Black men by colonial forces during the Windrush generation and casualties left behind. I quote that because, again, that is what we see. But I think in 2025, too, this piece definitely digs deeper. And the sort of themes that I mentioned resonate and are absolutely necessary for our stages today too. So I'm looking forward to us going even farther into the sailors' experience there. But yeah, so it's a piece that, like I said, it's sprinkled with poetry. It has song. It has heartbeat. Again, it has relationship to self and with each other. And it's one of those pieces that I think everybody in the city, not just theater goers, obviously need to see. And I really encourage our younger generations to be inspired by this piece too. I think the way that that the depiction of the Caribbean man on the stage, not many pieces, at least I've seen of late in Toronto, at least, due diligence to this. So yeah, I had an amazing time bearing witness to this story. The sort of general appraisals, I guess, about all the theater technicalities, etc. I think the space was beautifully raw. And what I mean by that is I feel the set was just bare enough to sort of be the many locations that we kind of needed it to be, the ship, the house, the bar setting, and then it really allowed the men themselves to pop the color in those scenes, I guess, through their different costumings they don when they put on like the female personas, or the different props like the alcohol bottles that are brought in. I think amidst sort of a bare stage, that really allowed all of those visuals to pop and be an accessory to their story. And again, the actors that are on the stage, we have Darren A. Herbert, Tony Afori, Jamie Robinson. These are just a couple of a phenomenal ensemble that, again, we've seen these men be such strong forces in so many other pieces in the stage. To see them all under one roof and again really go there to depict Caribbean men of this time and bear witness to experiences shared now. Thank you for doing that to that ensemble and the whole team there. That's my general appraisal. Divine, open it up. How are you feeling?
I saw the play a few days ago, and
right.
I was very deeply affected. And as far as appraisals go, I have to credit the props, the set design, even the costuming and lighting. Well, so much to give praise to, but costuming, lighting, set design, sound. I think an image from the set that like has stayed with me is at some point in the play there is is this a spoiler?
Maybe, but that's okay.
Yeah. At some point in the play there is a prop. I won't say what it is, but it is kind of left hanging in the background and it moves across the stage. Yes. And it's a very subtle thing, but I found it to be so harrowing for some reason.
1000%.
And so just deeply affecting.
Yep.
So I think like that, I just have to sound praise too, because I thought that was like an important touch to whatever was being said on stage.
Mm-hmm.
And then the actors, of course, were phenomenal. I think specifically Dan Jelani, who plays Vincy, is quite good as this young boy, basically, whose coming of age is this very interesting, very dangerous thing.
Yep.
And then I have to credit Darren as well, who plays Timothy. Mm-hmm. Very, I don't know what word could perfectly encapsulate what he made me feel, but very funny, very moving, and very like uncanny, unsettling. He really turns, he makes that turn in a very fascinating way. Mm-hmm. And then for Jamie Robinson, there is a specific scene where whatever he was doing with his face struck genuine fear in my heart.
Yes.
And a very real horror.
Yes.
It's so just for these actors to be able to bring in that kind of force, I think wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, I really do feel like they had like a rippling effect of the text that Kanika like provides for them. Like again, having the beautiful experience of watching these actors be in different pieces, and then like I said, all being under the same roof. It was neat to see like kind of like I know how they work from seeing them before, but seeing them work with this particular text, and a text that is written by a woman. And like I said, one of the themes are these men sort of experiencing the different women in their life and how the impact of that infuses their choices and their life. And just seeing the text work through them and through their, as the actor, but then also through them as the character, was like again, I'm the visual of like a wave or a ripple in water. So it is quite uncanny that they're sailors. Like that's kind of the visual or the image or the feeling that I'm describing in those moments. Yeah.
Yeah. I think as far as the rippling motif goes, there is something quite, I don't know if uncanny is the word, about the fact that these men they exist in a time beyond slavery, beyond that explicit institution that we know it to be, and yet they are still traveling on a ship to go do labor in a foreign land. And and like to come back to this idea of rippling, I got the sense from this play that as much as these men are not living in a specific time when Black people were subjected to specific conditions of horrible labor, they're still living in the wake of that time. You know, they're still living in a kind of afterlife of that time, where their idea of liberty and freedom is kind of founded upon whatever slavery was. You know, like it's kind of a specter in the play in an interesting way, and I think it informs how these men are brought into the world, and then how they act upon the world, and then how the people who will come after them will be in the world. And I find that to be a very harrowing thing, but yeah.
For sure. And I think, again, the way that that's all set up for us too, in like the setting and the different ages of the men, like you said, like they're stuck on this small island due to a storm. So it's that, right? It's that pressure cooker of like they're still stuck waiting through this storm, waiting as in patiently waiting, when will the skies clear, but also waiting, climbing and swimming through what their next adventure is going to be as young men. And then again, the ages, and you mentioned Don Jelani playing this young boy Vincy, and then you have Darren A. Herbert, Tony, and Jamie's characters. Tony's character's name is escaping me. I know we have
Lyle,
Shabin,
I believe.
Lyle, Shabin, and Timothy. Yes, so all of those men we know are older than Vincy, but even the three of their lives and their experiences, there is an age gap definitely between those men as well. Like we know that Shabin has a wife and kids. We know that Lyle is still living with his mother, and Timothy does kind of seem like a bachelor, or like kind of choosing his own adventure man. So even if their ages maybe are similar, their life experiences differ. So again, tipping the hat to Kanika there too, because I was like, what a great way of depicting as many different sort of stages of life for this Caribbean man, you know what I mean, to show on the stage. And again, to reify that rippling effect of where do we go from here? What is our identity in the system at large, but then also just within ourselves. I think we should go into spoiler zone, because now we've mentioned the characters and all the themes, and I want to just keep digging further. But we did give a wonderful taste to Moonlight Schooner. Again, when this episode goes live, you have until December 14th to see this world premiere at Berkeley Street Theatre. It is a combo production with Necessary Angel, Canadian Stage, and Tarragon, and it is one not to be missed. Definitely looking forward to future iterations of this, and quite possibly some Dora nominations for this piece too, because I think it's definitely well deserved. So grab your tickets and tune in for sure. And we are going to slide into spoiler zone. I'm going to go back to what Divine was chatting about, which I believe was, you were referring to the dress that was hanging on the clothesline at the back.
Yes.
which was beautifully placed. Let's talk about the dress. So we'll have a little dress spoiler shield on the screen now in the episode.
Yeah.
So yeah, I want to talk about that. So again, so the men in this play also quite literally the actors don female dresses and become like Shebin's wife or become like the shopkeeper. And I loved that element because then you're kind of seeing the men enact the women in their life, or you're also seeing the men be inspired or like pressed upon the women in their life in a way. And I think that's a major theme through most of this piece is what is the identity of woman to the Caribbean men, whether it is mother, whether it is partner, whether it is mistress, whether it is mother of child. And again, it's through like fabrics and through the costuming. But there's the image where I believe Tony's character is donning sort of a bunch of flowing fabrics on the clothesline. And then the last one there is just a hanging dress. And that dress hangs. And it came at a piece that I think, again, the placement, and this must have been a combo between like Sabryn's direction and then also what's written and then also tech. Like it was like a beautiful theater baby for me because I was already sitting there as a woman watching this, and without getting too far into my own life, but I personally am very close with someone who is of Jamaican descent and sort of going through a lot of these patterns himself. So I was sort of letting this piece hit me and bearing witness to it and already feeling the sort of cradling effect and I don't want to say, I guess I'm just going to say a bunch of words like nourishing, hovering, comforting, all of these sort of verbs that the woman sort of provides these men, whether it is like Shabin reading the poetry to his mistress, or the sort of head-to-head relationship he has with his wife at times, or the maybe some of the flirtatious comments that Timothy makes about women in the street. Like this was already such like a resonant theme that I was bearing witness to, and then the dress sort of swings into place, and it was like I was already feeling this theme, and then the piece sort of like guides you almost like a ship, like kind of guides you into this is exactly sort of an underbelly of what's going on. I don't know if you want to like speak to all of that and like themes and stuff too.
For sure. I think one of the fantastic things, I guess, about Sabryn's direction and Kanika's writing as well is that within the image of that dress, there can be like so many interpretations. And for me, at the moment that I saw the dress, and just like within the context of my own life, I interpreted something almost opposite to what you interpreted. I found it to be strangely like haunting in a sense, because I was looking at not only the dress, but the mannequin as well. And something about the way it looked without a head and just like hanging there. And then just like the dress, it had like no personality, no agency. It was just this like flat object. And within like the larger context of the play, I just felt like I was getting a glimpse into this strange structure of a society which sadly, I guess, and often uses women as like a condition for comfort, or like a condition for ravishment. And I found it to be quite haunting, especially because we don't see any explicit violence on stage, but it is, how do I say, it's infused into the air of the drama. It's in the air. It's in the way the men talk and the way they interact with women and the way they just move. And it all goes back to the fact that um, within a system in which these men are being subjected to very horrible conditions of labor, um, there is something else that women are being subjected to in the wake of whatever the men are experiencing.
Yeah.
And it takes me back to something I read I was reading Simone Weil's Gravity and Grace, strangely. Mm-hmm. And, she talks about, pain and pity and how whenever someone is subjected to extreme pain, they need to find a way to take some of the pain off so they can either, subject other people to pain, or they could find someone who loves them enough to share it in some way. And I think within this place specifically, it's men subjecting women to pain as well as seeking comfort from women, which is like a very like, yes. I don't know how to wrap my head around it, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it's snowballing off of that too. Like, yeah, there really is, like, now that you've opened that up, the subjecting the women to pain. So whether it is even just the scene where they're like gawking at the woman who's beautifully dancing at the edge of the ocean, that scene alone, I think there's so much duality going on there, because it is like they're unpacking that woman with her eyes, and like you can feel and literally see in their motion they just want to ravage her body. Like that might just be the be all and end all. But then also the trickling, the ripple, we might say, of the poetry in that moment too, and how they mention that she is dancing beautifully by the water. Like there is some hope and there is some pebble of deeper connection or that comfort or sharing that pain. But again, you see each of the characters either explore that alone through their own thoughts, through their own actions, or when it is maybe brought up in conversation or in context with each other, it ends in violence, or it ends in silence. Like if they don't know how to express, if they do, it is through physical harm to each other as men, or just exiting the situation altogether. And that's why I feel like this piece is so resonant today, because I feel like, especially for this culture, it is resonant to see this sort of like hope and again trying to find that love through pain, I think is important. But it also is not just for a specific group. Like again, I think everybody, like, because that's just what capital S system has made us do. Like we're talking about these things of when you're in such pain and you either, again, you have the two choices. Do you invoke more pain, or do you search and find love? And I think that's where, as a human race, we're at that crossroad right now too, right? It's like we have to find community. We have to find love. We have to dance with the emotions and the logistics of day-to-day life to sort of face our past, kind of deal with the present, and aspire for the better future that, again, the synopsis kind of maps out for us too. Going back to, again, some of the wonderful like direction and imagery of this, like women going through pain. We have the actor who played Lyle's mother. Do you have that open?
I struggle with pronouncing her name.
Yeah, that's okay. Oh, here, I have it too. Nahasayu Dagan. Apologies if I'm mispronouncing your name. Also, I want to talk about her character too, because there's a little side tangent there, but just bringing her in. So she is the only female figure we see on the stage. This is Lyle's mother. And there is a moment too, again, it's so subtle, but it's after the, like you said, infused or assumed violence that was inflicted upon the girl that they bring home from town, which again is showcasing or discussing pain inflicted on a woman. But there's broken glass in the house that they don't sweep up. And she's actually made to step on it. Like she's wearing shoes, but she's made to step on broken glass in her own home. And she's made to clean it up. And she's made to sit face to face with this woman that she's a smart woman, Lyle's mother too. We get that very far off in the show. She's made to face pour the tea and have a conversation with this girl. So again, it was that through, again, the writing and the direction of having the feeling physical pain of stepping on broken glass, the verbal pain of having to be the one to diffuse or talk to this woman, and the emotional pain of sharing in pain that both of these women are going through due to the men in their lives. And then just there's like a strength in that too, because they're just holding the space for this sort of like emotion. So yeah, I think you're right. There's so many moments in this piece where it is like a haunting feeling because there's so many things going on at one time.
Yeah, like with Janine's character specifically, I'm going to butcher her name, Neasayu. I'm so sorry. But she just delivers a very nuanced performance, I find. And I was talking to a friend about this, who is actually from St. Kitts.
Nice.
And she told me that the accent that Neasayu applies in the role was a bit off kilter, not a very like accurate or recognizable St. Kitts accent, which, because I like to watch plays in good faith and believe that, like, you know, every mistake is a new design of some sort.
Yep.
It added onto my own interpretation of Janine as this kind of she's someone who completely lacks agency and just is, how do I say? It's almost like she's a specter. She's a kind of embodied figuration of the mannequin that was hanging at the back. And there's a way in which she's grounded but also not grounded. She's real but also not real in the way she expresses herself and talks. And specifically when she is encountering this young woman who these men bring back to her house and basically violate. It was one of the only moments which truly felt empathetic to the experience of women at the hands of men within the society that they find themselves in, especially Black women and Black men, because she sees this young girl. The audience does not see her, but she sees her. There's a way in which she's facing the audience as she's addressing this girl, and it's a very interesting thing that's happening there, where she could be looking into the past, into the future, into the present. There's like a very strange thing happening there. But in the way she's interacting with this girl, she's not speaking explicitly, but she's acting out care. She's making tea, she's making soup, she's getting her a new dress, and she's saying things like, oh, this tea will fix up whatever is making you sick, or this dress will clear you up and clean you up, and let me do your hair. You know, things like that I find stand in such stark contrast to the way the men encounter women and see women. Even when Jamie's character Shabin is endlessly waxing poetic about his wife, from what I interpreted, he's only talking about how he feels about his wife.
Yeah.
He's kind of centering himself in his own experience of his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And it is beautiful, yes, that he's at least on some level engaging with her and thinking about her. But it's almost like, again, she is a kind of vessel for him to get to himself.
Yeah.
And that I thought was one of the most saddening things about the play, because you would think that someone who cares so deeply about language and feeling is looking more closely at the person who is right next to him. Yep. But it seems like only Janine is able to see that what happened to this girl is beyond belief and is like indescribable, you know? Because Shabin does not go into that room to stop them from doing what they're doing. He just goes on about how he feels about what they're doing.
Yep.
And I found that to be especially infuriating.
Yeah. Couple things I'm drawing out from what you're putting down, just to speak directly to that. I think that definitely lends into the cycle of manhood that this piece kind of shows and lack of shows. And one thing we're kind of not mentioning, because it is not mentioned, are the fathers in these men's lives, and the absence of a masculine figure, which I know is very common in Caribbean culture as well. And again, I think this piece is written astonishingly so like that, because quite literally we are left with every man that's on that stage. We don't know, like, aside from Lyle, and we know Janine is Lyle's mother, we don't know they're sailors. So they're quite literally like nomads. We don't know their upbringing. We don't know their relationship to masculinity, which every child, you know, through when they're wading through the worlds, they, you know, have their female and male role models in their life, and that sort of shapes the sort of feminine or masculine take you sort of carry through. And I think what you brought up, Shabin's choice to not go in and stop, and even Vincy goes in, but there is that small moment of Shabin taking on a little of that father role, which we see in previous scenes that he kind of neglects. He apologizes for, but he doesn't do as much as he probably should for his own children and his own wife. And in my opinion, I kind of see him through his waxing poetic. I hear what you're saying of like, it is in a way selfishly coming from him trying to wade through it. But there is a brief moment where, or an inkling in those moments too, that I have hope that he's trying to use him going through language and emotion to find the answer that he was never set up for. And I think we see a little bit of that realization when he tries to stop Vincy at the end. I was like, there's that father masculine energy that you are trying your hardest to sort of aspire to and find. But it still doesn't hit the mark. Like, it still doesn't do. But again, I think this is what's wonderful about this piece and the timelessness of it. I think it's like each time we grind towards breaking that cycle or finding a new way or finding an opening or finding a connection is one step closer to repairing what the past did not set up from like a familial, systemic, colonial way. And so also, speaking of that, going back to Janine's character, I found it fascinating that the one female body we see donning the stage is very much infused by the colonialism of the time, because like her posture, her costuming, the way that she prim and proper, daintily sets up the space. She has fine china. Like, she definitely is goes through her life based upon the sort of image, the only image of like feminine representation that was probably surrounding her when she was younger or what have you, right? Or a thing that makes her, like you said, and I think you said this beautifully, she weaves between like, she is a real character, but there is a facade and there is a fakeness, but you kind of can see it. There's a safety in that facade that she unfortunately has had to ground to, because, you know, her and Lyle have like a close-ish mother-daughter bond, but you can tell there's like time apart, or she doesn't have control over him. So the control she finds in like the materialism of her house or her body. And again, there is like a like a fake identity there too.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think I like what you said about the past not setting these men up to find the answers that they want. I think this play very, I guess, accurately captures that fact that because of the kind of system and the kind of colonial history that they have come into, certain things are just not within reach in the way that they should be. Like they have to leave their homes, because their fathers or their parents require something of them. Like Vinci has to leave home so young for some reason. Like his father kicked him out and said, I don't want to see you until you make something of yourself.
Yep.
Which should never be the case. So he has to leave home, and then these men have to leave home for their families for whatever reason. They have to move to this other place, and they have to subject themselves to this intensive labor. And then there is a way in which the system does not make room for this kind of family system to manifest. Even in Janine's own home, like her husband had to leave as well to be in the UK. And there is just this sense of perpetual imbalance in the home. Yes. And then because the home is just constantly being invaded by the state or by these like larger forces, then it kind of becomes something that it's not supposed to be. It does not become the safest place to be. Yes. I'm remembering one line specifically when Janine is talking to this girl after she comes out of her son's room, and she is comparing herself to the girl, and she's like, yeah, when I was a young lady as well, her son's name, Lyle's father brought me here. And the way she says brought me, with this like very implicit knowing, or just like there's like a strange similarity of experience in that knowing and just like being brought into this place. Yeah. I think it like blew my mind a bit, but yeah. I forget where my train of thought was going, but
that's okay. Again, I can pick up this sort of, and haunting. You were talking about how there is sort of like this grind, and when there is like a return to house, it's like not the same relationship, or it's not a safe space or whatever. And again, I go back to what I talked about earlier. The setting of this piece is these are all sailors that they don't have a location or a place. Like it's literally on the open sea, not their own place to call home, and they're stuck on this island. And as we are sort of again bearing witness to seeing them interact with each other, interact with women, interact with their language and their words, like again, I talked about they're stranded here because there is a storm. So, and then I said, but when the sky's clear, they're going to have to go back to work. Yeah. So all of the work that they've maybe done on self and on relationship and on community, they can't fully see that through to the destination that they need to, because they have to go back to work. Yeah. They have to go back on the boat. They have to separate again. Yeah. And again, and there's no way they can't do that, because they have to provide for their family or for themselves, or that is the only life that has created some sort of for lack of a better word, like life preserver for them.
Yeah.
So, and I think that again, through just like a setting and story plot is so resonant. It's an exact depiction of the insides of these men because they can express, we see them express, whether it's through aggression or through words or through coming face to face with the women in their life or, again, the younger men in their lives. And we're seeing them work through it. But then the minute that the clouds clear, they leave it all. So there's no room for growth where growth needs to grow.
I
because
think
they can't stop working. And again, that's where we get the pressure of the colonial and the system cycle.
Yeah.
And it's just like, again, it's like, I keep thinking of the scene with Sabryn and Vincy and that small little token of him saying, like, you really don't want to make this choice. And again, it's like, it's the little epiphanies or the little stepping stones, the little pebbles that are thrown. That is like the only way to start breaking that wheel.
Yeah. I think, you say the way you observed, I guess, the fact that when the skies are clear, they have to be working, they have to be at work, as opposed to when there's a storm and they have to be stranded and marooned somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Also takes me back to something Janine said to Lyle about why she enjoys their house on the hill. The fact that she can look down on everyone else, working down there. There's like an interesting, thread through those things about how, these black men or just like black labor in general is a kind of, like necessity for society at large to just like function,
Mm-hmm.
like there have to be people on the ground so that the people up can like be supported in that upness, and also like there have to be people down there for them to look down upon,
Yes.
And like there's a way that looking down upon kind of legitimizes their own existence, which I find so like haunting and disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the way that black labor is then a kind of necessity for just the enjoyment of the rest of society, black women then bear the brunt of, or come to be like the necessary condition for the enjoyment of black men.
Yeah.
Within the larger society and like the colonial history that they find themselves in. So by somehow infusing all these things into this play, I think Kanika just delivers a very strong indictment of just like the system at large.
Yes.
To say that, there needs to be a kind of more expansive recognition of whatever is happening here, or whatever happened in the past.
Yes.
And just like everyone needs to come together.
Yeah.
Like governments, communities just like need to just come together and like support each other. Yeah.
I think so too. And this is exactly picking up what you're putting down too. Like, this piece I think is a starting point to also allow, like, there is beauty in coming together, but then also every man on that stage is their own individual identity, and honoring that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like were never given that, because like you said, they were thrown into, you will provide for your family, you will work. Yeah. These are all of the sort of generalized community labels they're given. But having all four of them like stand almost like at the edge of the stage, and like you are all coming from a similar experience, but you are all very different and very unique. And that's what makes you the man that you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think what this play beautifully sets up is they are all very different men. Like they all approach things differently. They all emote differently. They all handle problems and situations differently. And kind of going back to, again, the looking down line that you brought up. Yeah. Janine's like their house being the top of the hill. All of these men sort of, for lack of a better word, like fight for like, I don't want to say like almost like a pitying agency. Like there's one scene where like Darren as Timothy comes out of the room that we know what just happened, and he's shirtless and he's owning the kitchen and he's like the tallest one on the stage. So there's this exuding of high status, exuding of power, exuding of I am capital M man. But we know the very demoralizing thing that was just done behind that door. And we know that that makes a person lesser of a man, for lack of a better word. But it's this sort of false claiming of brief moments of agency, brief moments of feeling like you're looking down or feeling that power that certainly is not long lasting. But again, through all of the men, like even when Vincey is drunk, right, and the youngest, and it happens sooner than everyone else, there is sort of like a freedom and a fluidity and an ownership of the space. So it's these like fleeting moments of like false power that these men feel just a snapshot of comfort in. Whereas if we take each of these men and give them their proper, unique identity as man, they don't need snapshot power. They can literally sit in themselves, capital T themselves, and infuse that into wherever they go, whatever they do. But again, like you said, we have to provide, like as community, we all have to like provide that agency, because history and systems have not set it up that way. Like that's what I'm talking about, like the pebbles or the ripples to try to break that cycle.
I think to go back to the idea of just kind of more expansive care, it's interesting how Kanika observes both Black women and Black men experiencing this kind of just continual daily injustice in the way that they are socialized. And because as Black people, we're all, I guess, experiencing on some level that this knowledge of how we are perceived and how we have been socialized and how our identity has been politicized, it kind of creates this like strange barrier whenever two Black people come together in love, you know, that they have to address the kind of that central tension that we both experience. It almost, instead of making it easier for us to connect as people, it kind of creates this very like gnarly dynamic that I that often, and I guess easily can tend toward just not seeing one another, or just like not caring in the ways that we should, which I find so fascinating.
And like again, I think this piece does a good job of opening up that door of like, how do we bring those two like striking individuals together, even through the like gnarled past that they both had to wade through. Wow, this piece, like I knew I was inspired and impacted by it, but like I feel like this conversation could go on and on and on. Like I want to write essays.
For sure.
And we didn't really specifically dive into like Chabin's poetry, but again, what I think from like a writing perspective, again, I mean, we've already dived so far into just like the themes alone and the characters alone, but the writing itself, let's just pay homage to Kanika one more time of you are mixing poetry and prose in this piece. So again, this piece residing and being on the backs or the oceans of theater, like doing it through a theatrical lens.
Yeah.
Tying in all of the sort of text, whether it is like the vernacular that the characters share when they're like at the bar, or it's the, you know, waxing poetic that Shabin is doing downstage through his notebook. Like we just like we follow the range of these men's sort of like lives and experiences, like she's doing that textually for us as well. Which again is just like an added bonus to an already like heartbeat of a piece. I'm
constantly impressed by the way she writes, and I think the thing I appreciate the most about Kanika's writing is that she engages violence throughout her texts, but she never represents it, which I think is something not enough writers care to do, because it's so easy to reproduce violence on stage or on screen, I think, but it's another thing to critically engage with it without having to kind of subject these people to that very thing again and again and again. And I think she just constantly just does a great job.
Yeah. And I think specifically in this piece too, like coming off of that, like the symbolism that violence she again pays attention to, of when violence is afflicted upon the woman, she's wordless, and then if violence is brought up with the men, they show it through their fists, a different type of wordless. So maybe there is that shared like we were talking about, that shared gnarly pain and not knowing how to express, but how she shows one and doesn't show the other. That's what we're meant to see, if that makes sense. Yeah. Oh my gosh, Divine, we could keep going on and on and on. This, but I think we should leave it at that. Again, folks still have the, even though we did a deep dive, you still need to experience this yourself, sitting in the space and letting everything hit you as deeply as it hit both of us. Again, I saw it on opening night. Divine saw it on blackout night. So we both kind of got a different show there, but clearly resonated with us on the same ocean. So this piece again is Moonlight Schooner. It is a new work by Kanika Ambrose, directed by Sabryn Rock, and it is a Necessary Angel Theatre Company production in association with CanStage and Tarragon Theatre, happening right now till December 14 at the Berkeley Street Theatre. And we will pop all ticket information and links below the episode here. But on that note, Divine, thank you so much for joining us. We would love to have you back on other episodes of The Cup. Your notes were 1000% infused into this episode, and rightfully so. Where, in the meantime, though, where can folks find and follow you on any social media platforms or any upcoming projects?
I use only Instagram, and you can just find me at Angubua for president, or just look up my name. You'll find me somehow. But thank you so much, Jillian, for having me.
Of course.
I would gladly return.
Yay. We love that. Folks can find and follow me in my artist Instagram account as well, Jillian.Robinson96. I have sort of closed a chapter on my day-to-day day job, and I'm focusing on being more of the all-encompassing artist. So keep your eyes to the page there. I have some modeling stuff upcoming. I'm going to be teaching kids in the new year with after-school programs. So excited to expand myself there. And if you are watching this or listening to this, we are Cup of Hemlock. We are on all social media platforms, YouTube, anywhere you get your podcasts, COH Theater, Instagram, Facebook. leave us a comment. Let us know if there's a show or project you'd like us to chat about. We would love to do so. And on that note, everyone stay in community with each other through the month. We are in the month of December, which is, again, a mixture of love and pain. I'll call a spade there. We've got holidays going on, but this is also a rough time for a lot of folks. So be kind to yourself, be kind to others, see some wonderful theater, and stay well in preparation for the new year. On that note,
sure.
I'm going to give a cheers, possibly to your dog cup with rings.
Cheers.
Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next time on The Cup. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.